Are you giving yourself away for the free? I mean, there's a thin line between free and paid, right? Let's tune into this episode so we can see what part of the line you are on so you can turn that line more to the paid side.
And
Break my soul. You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul. I'm telling everybody.
Welcome back to this week's episode of the MadeHerselfABoss podcast, all about mastering mindsets and methods to making money in your business, my good friend. If you haven't already known, or if this is your first time experiencing the dynamic duo that is in front of you, I am Shy, and this is...
I'm Bree, and we make up Team MadeHerselfABoss. I just love our intro. Mastering mindsets and methods to make more money, because why would we not? I absolutely love the subject that we're going to be getting into today, because we were recently just talking about that, right? Like, what value to put out there for free, and then what should just simply be behind a paywall.
Yeah,
and just as we were asking ourselves that question, I'm sure many entrepreneurs out there, in their marketing, they're unsure what to put out and what should, not giving too much. Yeah. Make them pay for that good tidbit.
Yeah, and like we said earlier, there is a fine line between free and paid. Like there's the fine line between love and hate. Y'all seen that movie? Either way. And we want to really break down what that means and what we meant giving yourself away for free. It could be giving so much content and value that people start to question, well, why pay when she's giving it all for free? I might as well just get the free stuff, right?
Exactly.
So there is a fine line, and throughout this episode, we want to define it so that you're standing on the right side of the line and still being shown as that thought leader, that brilliant person we know you to be right now. So get excited about this conversation. But as we go into it, let's talk about why you may be doing, or maybe the confusion matter that goes into when we're talking about giving away so much, because there is a part that you do play in giving, right?
Yes.
And I do think that giving and showing your thought intelligence or showing that you can solve a problem is important. But I do think there is a line divided where you transition to when it's paid.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, especially when you're doing your marketing and creating that content, because we just live in the day and age. That's how a lot of people are feeling. Not all the time, because speaking, but that too. That falls under this too. What can you give that would be of value to people? Help them to see you as a trusted thought leader. Like, wow, she gave this. I think that's the question we all need to really be asking ourselves. What will make people think, wow, they gave that away for free? Imagine what I would get if I paid. And I think that line is somewhere between giving them something that would be helpful today, but if they want to increase that, if they want to continue that, if they want to 10x that, like we were speaking in one of our previous episodes, that's where you can work with me directly. That's where you can purchase my product. That's where I can provide you with the next steps. Yeah. So I see the value that can be given away for free is more so something really good and juicy to get them in the door. Yeah. I like that. It's like that little piece of candy. Come in, little kid, and I'll give you some candy, right? And then they're gonna come back. Yeah. They're gonna come back,
They come back for more. Oh Lord, the candy. Yeah, I really like that. It's like dropping little drops of something to the bigger thing.
Yes.
What I think about is, why do we feel the pressure of having to give so much away? And sometimes it could be the thought of, will they even pay for this? Right? How many of us have even thought that quietly out loud to ourselves? Is like, well, I don't know if they're going to pay for this, so let me just give. Let me just give. Or it could be, well, I see everybody else giving. Let me just keep giving. But dialing back to, I think no one's going to pay for that, is clearly, as we both know, a mindset thing. What about your brilliance that you feel that nobody will pay for it? Something that you can solve, something that you can help and provide such amazing value to, right? I think about how I even used to think that way back when, not today, but way back when, I used to think that, let me just give it because I'm unsure that someone would pay for it. I think that really had to do with not necessarily self-worth, but my self-confidence. Showing up in a way that I felt like what I have, you will purchase. What I'm giving as a tester or an intro, they will opt into for the free, right? And even understanding that process. I love how you transitioned about how, you're giving so much to the point where they're thinking, if this is for free,
right?
Can I imagine? That is such a great transition and thought pattern on, can they even imagine what I would give to actually help them solve a bigger problem and just like for paid.
Right, and that's exactly what it is. If you're not asking, if you're not putting yourself in their shoes and asking that question, something may not be aligned. And even going back to the confidence part that you put in there, we also talk about the inner work first.
Yes.
If you are at a stage where maybe you weren't clear yet on, what it is that you do, the problem that you solve, who it's ideally for. I mean, that should be there. So when it comes to what value to be given out, if you're really unconfident about what to put out or not, I mean, use little pieces like the example we just used as a tester.
Yeah.
If they like this, then they really gonna like this. This was just a little drop in the bucket.
Right. That solved the quick problem that they were having or experiencing.
Exactly. So, the free value, deciding what to put out, that's a good test. There's putting some value out. Like if it's too good, like if you put it out there and it's too good, you're like, dang, I should be like charging for that. You can, take what you had maybe off and then put it behind the paywall because now you've already proven to yourself that it is something people are interested in, that is indeed solving a problem. So I would even argue to the person who's like not really sure or just not confident about what they're putting out, testing, always test. You can test a piece of content or solution or whatever it is as free value and just see how people take to it. Do people care about it? Is it like in a big way solving their issue?
Yeah.
And that's how you can kind of determine, you know what? Maybe I should put this behind the paywall. Maybe I should do that. And if you are smart and you've gotten feedback from that like free piece of content, now you got your testimonials. Now you got like your screenshots of comments on how people really liked it. And you have your proof that it works. So that's like a whole different piece of content that you can create, or at least answer that question for you.
Yeah, that's really good. And then that will speak to the confidence boost, right? And start eating away at the mindset shift that you have for, is this worth, right? So a lot of times we might feel not worthy enough to put this out. We may feel a way about charging for it or not charging too much or not charging enough for it. So we really want to make sure that you guys are really like fine-tuning, understanding what's the feeling that's coming up for you when you're looking at your content, your freebie, your ebook, whatever, before putting it out and then just giving it away. Like what is happening before you're deciding that it needs to be given away for you. That's the part that we need to work on with you, right? So I just want to make sure that part of the why are you giving yourself away for free so much, because there is a fine line, but why are you giving it so much for free, so that we are tackling the mindset blocks that is happening right there for you, because you are worthy, you are valuable, what you have can solve problems, period. But we want to make sure that you know the fine line and you're confident with that fine line. And we'll talk about boundaries later in this episode, but setting those boundaries so people know, clients know what to cross, what not to cross as you're giving valuable information. Because what we already know between us and together and you watching, that you are not of lack. That you are abundant and that you don't mind giving. But let's backtrack some of that giving as we go through this episode.
So, but let's get into this part of the conversation though, where we're talking about why should they buy if we're giving it all away for free? Well,
they shouldn't, because if you're giving away for free, why did I need to give you my coins? I think like in the song that we know with Martin Lawrence, there's a thin line between love and hate. There is a guess what the song? There is a thin line between free content that makes them think, oh, she knows her stuff, versus the line on the other side where it's, oh, she's giving it all away for free. Why do I need to buy? I think specifically when it comes to our freebies, because we do need to attract.
Yes,
right?
We have to.
We need to attract in the various of ways. I do think that it's important to make the case for why they need the help. show the examples, show the people that you've helped get to the solution for in the various ways, and even teach them a little something. But I do think the line crosses when you give them too much of the how.
Yeah, I mean that's really what it is. A lot the how to me. I mean, I don't know. I just like sprinkling it in there.
Yes,
Because I
like
don't believe. I think a lot of girlies who are like so afraid to give too much without there being a paywall involved, that what they end up putting out there is fluff. What they end up putting out there is things that, I could learn in like 30
Google that.
seconds. Not even by Googling, just if I flip through my own Instagram feed.
Yeah, that is true.
Like, well, I mean, that was not hard. Like, I kind of know that. Like, if I'm in an industry or if I'm already interested in learning how to do something, chances are you're not the first person that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I already know that. Like, you're not giving me nothing extra.
Yeah, the elementary.
Why should I even invest? Why should I even spend more time on your content at all?
Ooh,
in that case.
Ouch.
So it is being very strategic in making sure that what you give away, that it is indeed valuable.
Yeah.
This is where I feel like you put in your unique factor. What is going to set you aside from everybody else. What little tip can you give that no one else is talking about?
Yeah, that's
like, wow, she knows her stuff. What can you really do to set yourself aside? Sprinkle in that good stuff, and then keep them coming back. Like, look, if you want me to do this for you, or if you want more tips, because I have more tips, move on to the next step. But yeah, you have to constantly be evaluating, maybe even test it out with your friends, to make sure that what you do have out there is not just fluff. Yeah,
because we don't got time for fluff. No one got time for that. And then especially when AI is out here and your good old friend Chat, ChatGPT, like there is no time for fluff, but there is time for building trust and authenticity. Yeah. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. There is time for that. And then giving those quick wins that make people think, wow, she gave this away for free. Can you imagine working with Team MadeHerselfABoss can do for my business? Those are those things that you want your potential clients and your potential people out there to start thinking, and even giving a quick win that can solve a problem right away. And followed up with Bree's call to action is a powerful mix. And that's how you're staying on the side of giving away good, free, valuable content that converts, and even making them a pathway to a paid for them to invest in themselves through what you have for them, right? So I do think, there is that fine line, and Brittany just laid it out on how to do it and sprinkled the little hows in between and giving them a quick win, because at least they know if this is a quick win, mastering the whole thing, I mean, it's an easy yes.
I think you just coined it. Like, I think you just took what we just talked about and summed it up. Give them a quick win.
Yeah.
Make that value just a quick win.
Yeah.
And they'll want to keep winning, right?
Yes, who doesn't?
And that's what's going to bring them back, or that's what's going to make them clink and like move on to the next step. Yeah. That's good, Shy.
Thanks.
I need a t-shirt press with this girl.
Thank you. And it will allow you to have a better understanding of what you're creating intentionally.
Yes.
For a freebie or an opt-in, or then you'll realize, this may need to stay on the paid side of the wall. So have you more intentionally looking at your stuff. I think that is helping you with the difference between the free content that's like, oh, this girl knows her stuff, let me work with her. And then the free content that's like, she done gave me the whole cow. Like,
what do I need to come back for?
I don't need to come back for. You didn't solve the whole problem for me, sis. I don't need to pay. And that is also something I feel like some people don't talk about a lot, is that when you put everything into it and you're giving it away for free, why the people are not coming back, you solve their whole problem. And if some people are in tune enough to follow each step by step, not everybody, but some people are more like, well, let me follow every single step, and then they get a win, they're not going to go back to you, but they'll probably go back for more of that free stuff because you're giving everything away for free. So when you come up with the follow-up of like, well, is there anything I can help you with today? Or how is this for you? You're not going to get as much feedback that you would like because you didn't solve it.
They're done.
Why?
They're kind of done with you. And I think even in that, if you're very strategic, there's just a fine line into making that work. Like, say you are, I'm going to use, for example, like the people who teach you how to fix your credit or something.
Okay.
You can watch a video and they will technically take you step by step, but what their services are done for you. So I think really knowing your model, your business model,
that part
also plays a role.
It does.
Because those are like rare instances where technically you can give them the steps,
But are they really
but you
going
know
to do
that they're not really going to do it. So you've given them the education. They know it needs to happen,
Right.
which is still the value because they
Very
know
true.
it needs to happen. But are they able to, willing to, have the time to, all the above to actually do it? And so your upsell could be actually, done for you.
Yeah.
And there's plenty
That's
other
good.
examples like that depending on what your business model
Is. Yeah.
is. So I think we're saying all this that there's not one just straightforward answer, but what we are encouraging you to do no matter what is to approach it with confidence
Yes.
and to approach it with strategy.
Yeah.
Know where your fine line is
Yes.
between free and paid.
And we want to make sure that anybody that comes in contact with you, no matter if it's a freebie, you speaking, whatever, they walk away feeling like, you know what, she gave me something really good. This
Yes.
really did help me. I want to dig in more. So we want you to think from that. And that plays a part in confidence. So we want to make sure you showed up with that too.
Absolutely. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and roll into our commercial. We will see you on the other side and we will continue this very interesting conversation. Ready to grow your business without the grind? Visit growthwithoutgrind.com, the go-to resource for women entrepreneurs. From digital products and exclusive events to practical freebies and must-have tools, we have everything to help you grow no matter your stage in business. Say goodbye to burnout and hello to growth. Find what you need at growthwithoutgrind.com.
All right.
You want to welcome us back or should I?
I can welcome us back.
Okay.
Good. All right, welcome back. Welcome back on the second half of giving yourself away for free. And we want to make sure you're not doing that, or at least know the line to be on when you're doing this. So another way that you are probably giving yourself away for free is over delivering beyond what you promised. Say that you sold a package and it had X amount of calls, X amount of service delivery, and because of how you're feeling, the guilt of I want to make sure this client is successful, happy with my service,
Right.
you give so much more knowing they don't need all of that. They don't need none of that, right, to get to the transformation that they need. So let's talk a little bit through about how are you over delivering, and when you don't set boundaries, you're just giving yourself away for free. I mean, that can definitely affect you mentally, lead into burnout in ways.
That's the perfect word, boundaries. I think it's all surrounded around boundaries. I mean, so in times when you're kind of giving away too much, so they're in a package, they purchase from you, whatever, and you're giving away too much value because it's not just, I want to go above and beyond and make sure that they have a happy experience. Like, you could possibly be giving away too much just because, like, you're just desperate for that good review or, just a little bit out of desperation. It's okay for them to have another step after this one.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
And there is a difference between giving too much away. How can I say this? You can make sure that they have a good experience, of course.
Yeah.
Maybe answer a couple more questions or stuff like that. But when you get into, I'm doing a whole nother service for you right now.
Yeah.
And, and that's your time and that's your energy and that's your research or whatever it is that it takes for you to provide that. And that's another package that they could have upgraded to. So you kind of cheated yourself out of money.
Yeah.
And, they're happy with it, of course, because we're all just trying to get by. Let's keep it real. But so it's really easy to not honor your boundaries in a time like that because you just wanted the sale, you finally got it, want to make sure that they have this amazing experience, and you still can, but that doesn't mean that you have to overextend yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Bree touched on something called basically desperate sales energy. And we talk a lot about that, where basically when you're entering the sales conversation or before creating, you have that desperate energy. Like, I got to get this, I got to pay my bills tomorrow. Like, we don't want you to go into any conversation, anything in that. But same as for this, when you go into it as desperate, now that I've got the client, right? Now I want to make sure I want to make sure. And it causes such a disarray, a disservice to yourself because now you're overextending, right? Which leads into not having, lack of boundaries or even respect, dare I say, for yourself because you're giving so much. And that's not even what they asked for.
Yeah.
Some people are just good with the 1, 2, 3. You delivered, they conquered, they feel great before going to that next thing. And sometimes that can even cause overwhelm for them because you're doing so much. You're doing too much.
That happens a lot in like the creative industry.
You know what? Too
You end up
much.
wanting to do too much, and you're racking your brain out because like, oh no, they're going to want this, they're going to want that, and the whole time they just wanted like
Basic.
the basic of what you promised. Or you give it to them and there's not even like an appreciation because that's really not what they asked for.
Yeah.
And that's a lesson that was taught to me from some mentors. Like, don't do too much.
Yeah.
Like, gauge it, but don't do too much. Okay. Just because they didn't ask for it. And then on top of that, if they did want more, honestly, you could be cheating yourself out of an upsell.
Yeah.
Out of it.
Yeah. And sometimes, like, an example also could be our graphic designers out there, our social media manager people out there. You already sold something for, I'm gonna make it up, I'm not one, so don't beat me up, but you sold for maybe 15 graphics, whatever, right? But you just gave them 35, 40 in fear of upselling or charging more additional on top of. So you allowed that fear to seep in to the point where you just gave it for free. Good, valuable content that Bree said that took you time, effort, work, whatever it took you because of fear of charging additional or upselling yourself for more. So we really want y'all to look at that, like how and the ways that you are giving yourself, your time, your energy for free, but exhausting yourself in the midst of all of it.
Yeah, you don't want to treat your stuff like, here, just keep the change. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gave them too much money. Like, here, just keep the change. But like, that didn't take time and energy for you to put it together. So I agree with that 100%. A good, for me, and I think it will work for a lot of people, a good way to just make sure that you stay within those boundaries are just to make it super clear from the beginning. Okay. So that they already have that expectation. Okay, these next steps or this extra stuff, this extra content, whatever it is, does come at a cost. Okay. Right? And if your systems are already in place, it kind of can have the conversation for you, little cheat. I love automation stuff. But at the very least, have this written down. This package comes with XYZ. If they would like more, that is an additional such and such and such. And once they've read that, there's already that expectation. Whatever pressure you're putting on yourself to give more can subside a little bit because they already have that expectation, and you're not volunteering. They're just not a need. Right. For it in that point. And I love that we're having this conversation. I haven't heard anyone else really talking about overextending yourself in that way. Yeah. But it happens. It does happen. What would you say, because you are definitely in the service industry, what would you say in the moment where, like, word vomit, in the moment when you're like, let me give more, what should I do to, like, calm myself down and honor what I've written down? Because sometimes we do have it written down, but in the moments of talking and we're not looking and reminding ourselves of what we put in place, we word vomited and already just gave so much away for free, knowing we should have charged more, knowing we should have reminded them this is an additional. Honestly, well, I have your thoughts in my head. I have your words in my head because that was definitely me. Say, for example, the amount of prints. Before I was very specific on the amount of edits that you get with the package. I was just like, just have what you want and, just negotiating, even though they didn't even really ask me. I just, for some reason, felt like you wanted me to negotiate. Yeah. And you gave me some really good advice, which is just to, like, say what you got to say and then just, like, let it marinate with them. There are so many times where we add things on, they didn't even ask for it yet. Or if you just get, like, a little bit of questioning, well, how much would it be for, or could you do this, or could you do that? Can't you just, how I feel about that can't you just statement. You about to ask me for a lot, and you're starting with a can't you just. Right. When you hear those trigger words, number one, already have in your head, or maybe even written down, some good rebuttals for that is going to be respectful to the customer, but more importantly, respectful to your business and your time and this reputation. Yeah. But the first thing that comes to mind when I'm in those scenarios is what you told me. Just let it ride for a second. You gave the price, you gave what is included, let it ride for a second. Let them have the opportunity to say some next things, whether that's okay, whether they need something else, whether that is. And that time is valuable because it's giving you a moment to calm yourself down, get your composure back, remind yourself of the extra time and energy and resources it's going to take to just give them, to do it, let alone just give it away for free.
Yeah.
So that was really good advice, even though it's super simple to just like let it be in silence for a couple of seconds or just like wait for a couple of seconds. You'll be amazed how your brain can get it back together, and you're allowing your customer to just review and think about it. Like that time is really crucial. I think people are rushing when they do that. They're rushing and they're making themselves uncomfortable. They're not taking a moment to really just think and
breathe.
I'm a professional. This is what I have offered.
Yes,
I would love to give you more. It's going to be at this price. And just take your time, go into it confident instead of using that silence as, before you go, let me just give you 5 more. Just give you 5 more.
And that's what we see a lot.
5 more edits. Why not? Why not? Because you're going to come back to me next time you want some pictures done, right? Yeah. Whole time they're like, whatever. I mean.
They're not even thinking twice about it, right? Right. That's good. That's really, really good. I didn't even think about that, the rush factor. And then we ended up word vomiting us into more work that we probably didn't want to do because of that slight rush,
that overwhelm,
slight energy. You're right. We already are committed to doing more free stuff, knowing we should have had them pay for it.
Yes. So we discussed a lot of like, just value in general, whether it be like your freebies or your content or whether they're already in your paid program. What value to just give, what value to put behind a paywall or an additional paywall. Let's talk about like some success stories when moving strategically actually works. So depending on when you're watching this, we just had a webinar.
It was a bomb
the other day. We just wanted to try something, get in front of a new audience, and we had a free webinar. When's the last time we had like a free thing?
I don't know.
And so we were testing. We took a chance on it. Had a good turnout, right?
Yes.
And we did have a VIP option, so we did have something behind the paywall.
Yes,
which was we always give good value. So our free value, besides the webinar, was like a summarized, smaller, simple version of a workbook, right? And then the upgrade was the playback, the Q&A call,
and the playback.
And we also made a more detailed book, which we have for an additional purchase, which they had, limited time to get it at a certain price.
Yep. And that was the process between where you can start free and give good content. So as Bree said, we had a free webinar where we hopped on Zoom with amazing new people, new faces, some old faces, and we taught them something that was pressing to them. For us, we talked about firing your full-time. There's a lot of women who want to fire their full-time job and want to be in their business full-time and impacting people, doing their brilliance for themselves and grow in their own ways, right? So it's a pressing thing. It's a catchy, relatable title, Fire Your Full-Time. And during that, we showed them the steps to do it. We gave them quick wins. We showed them things that are really affecting them, time blocking, knowing the actual number you need before firing your full-time, pricing. Like we walked them through the steps that they need, not giving too much, but giving enough where it's like, oh, I didn't even think about it. Oh, wow. I didn't know I needed this. And then to continue the conversation, because this was just for some people, a first conversation they're having with us, right? Some people need more zhuzhing of conversations, right? A zhuzhing of conversations with us before they're making their next step. We naturally sprinkled in the how, like Bree said earlier, and we gave them an opportunity to invest in themselves through us to continue the conversation so it doesn't stop here. What we do know is that sometimes we get on these free things, like you, like me, we get on it and then we forget it tomorrow. Or people make an offer and we're like, yeah, we'll get back to it. But what we did is how we transitioned and positioned ourselves so that we're like, look, you want to fire your full-time? You saw this number that you need. You saw how we walk people through it. Let's help you do the same thing so that this conversation doesn't ride dead.
Right.
We made them an offer and they opted into the offer. So that's how something free we attracted them to, right? Led into a free offer by the end of that webinar. Of course, There was nurturing in between. Of course, there was follow-up in between. Of course, there was things happening within that presentation that helped gear those women to have trust in us enough
Of course.
to make an investment through us, especially since some of them were their first time experiencing us, right? So we build those natural factors from the first point in time of them opting into the free webinar all the way to the end of our webinar on the actual day. So that is a huge example of how you can walk somebody through getting them into the free, nurturing them, teaching them something of value where they can get quick wins, right? When they implement and show up confidently, and then lead them to something where they can continue the conversation. I can't get my words right this episode.
Make them comfortable with that conversation. And yeah, it worked. I would argue to say, if I was to sum up like the value that we actually provided, it was the value of education.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They were empowered by the education of what it took. You know, we helped them to back into numbers. Like you said, how much would I actually have to make in order to fire my full time? Like that was the moment once people actually saw it, and then to have those next steps, like, okay, here's how we can like help move forward and implement it. Yep. It was over from there. Yeah. So that was just like, there's tons of other examples, but that was just like our most recent one. Why don't you do this in one of your journal prompts? Why don't you think of any success? Because you may not have even realized or acknowledged that you've had some success with some value that you've given out, whether it be positive feedback, whether it be just anything where you gain those followers, where you gain those inquiries, those questions, that interest. And that is something that could give you a clue on what value should remain free and maybe what should be behind a paywall. And that is okay. So in one of your journal prompts, make sure that you look below for all three. Why don't you ask yourself, what are some small wins that I provide with my free content, with my free value, and go from there?
Yeah, that is so good. So I know we talked about a lot. You definitely can rewind this episode and in your journal, write down the things you need and implement, right? But we want to make sure that you're taking away the confidence to provide the amazing value that you do, what to charge for, and don't feel a way about charging. But also when you're giving away for free, the confidence in the free that's going to attract them to the people to their next step, right? So we want to make sure you guys took all of that and some. If you have questions or concerns, write them down below. Hop in our DMs because we do respond back quickly. And stay tuned to the next episode.
Bye.